Hello, adventurer. It's good to see you. You have made it to the morning grind.
Welcome, welcome.
It's the live stream at the beginning of the Geekverse, where we talk about all types of topics in geekdom, gaming, and fantasy, with an emphasis on being constructive and creating the things that we want to exist in the world.
It's all on the grind, Sizemore. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
That's exactly right. There are a lot of adventures to be had today. Dungeons to explore and monsters to slay, and who knows what a random encounter might send our way. That's why we have to prepare, so settle in now for the morning grind with your favorite beverage in hand.
Tea? Or maybe something a little stronger. I've got a few bottles of the old Wynyard left.
Whatever you want. Pull up a chair.
Dude.
If you're feeling fancy, how about a cappuccino? Or a frappuccino? Or how about an espresso?
Just tea, thank you.
Sounds good to me, Gandalf. Whatever you want. I'm just glad you're here.
Everyone is welcome. You can just watch if you want. You don't have to worship anything you don't want to worship.
Thank you, Mike. But be forewarned.
Sometimes we get really strange characters around here.
Wait, what's that you say? Why can't you come and be a part of the stream?
My wife would disown me.
Oh no, I bet she'll be fine with it. Come on in.
Am I scared for my safety? No.
What are we supposed to do?
Everybody do the secret handshake.
Secret cultist handshake.
Oh, now do wizards who love each other.
This, my friend, is a science.
I still don't have gifts, but it's fine.
It's all on the grind, son. Can't be too fine, can't be too coarse.
Dude, this would be a sick place to bring the band.
Indeed it would be, Dave. It really would. I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. Glad to have you here. Oh, look, here's someone new.
Is this the cultist meetup?
Yes it is.
Come to hang out? Please accept me. I have nothing else.
Okay, we accept you. Everyone's welcome here.
Brought some snacks.
Well, that makes things even better.
You want some coffee? I don't drink coffee. You sure?
It's cultist coffee.
What makes it cultist coffee? I'm a cultist and I'm drinking it. Oh. Then I'll have some.
What exactly is going on here?
I'm seeing more people coming in. Welcome. It's so great to have you. Oh, and look, here comes another stranger.
Can we help you?
Yes, fellow cultists. I could really use some food.
Oh yeah? Welcome. We have donuts.
Oh, it's me. I'm glad I'm here. I'm sure you have a few questions for me, though.
What's your name? Who do you work for? What god do you worship?
Great questions, Rob.
I'm Steve King, and I worship Nyarlathotep.
No, not really. I'm just Heath, and I won't be worshiping anything this morning. But I will be your host. Welcome to the office. We're going to have a great time. I've got my coffee ready, because now it's time for the morning grind.
If you could become a fish, that would be amazing. Then I could command you with my mental fish powers.
Good morning. How is everybody doing? I hope that you are well. Coming off a day of Nintendo playing. That was, somebody just coming from the Nintendo Direct. Star Ocean Second Story is getting remastered. I don't know what that is. Good morning. Good morning, Mike and Stray and Nathaniel. Good morning. So today, what I was going to do, I've been working on the Tales of Rabavania World Primer and still trying to get all of the stats right for both 5e, Pathfinder 2, and EZD6. And I realized that, well, what I actually need to do, though, is dive into Pathfinder 2nd Edition a bit more, which we've been trying to do. But now would be a good time because I've been trying to figure out how this is going. So I thought that we would do that. I was looking over here. I've got all of these PDFs. Plus, I've got all these PDFs about Pathfinder. And I'm actually not sure which one of these actually has the main book in it. I'm going to have to look for that here in just a second. It could be this one. No. Sounds a little bit different this morning. Let's see. Oh, hey, is that better? It looks like the that might be better. The microphone had fallen over. See if that's better. Good morning, Robert. Good morning. Also, I basically finished the Goodnight Sword Kickstarter. I have shipped out all of the books yesterday. After we got off the stream yesterday, I went to the post office and shipped out all of the books that I had needed to sign. They've all been signed. And then I also ordered all of the books that did not need to be signed. So they are coming through. They are being sent now. Those will be shipped within 3 to 6 weeks, I believe it is. So it takes them a while to get printed up. But everything has been ordered except for, I believe, 3 people. And that's because I didn't have an address or I needed to clarify something with you. So if you didn't receive a message, then please do. Or if you have not submitted your address to me, please do. But otherwise, that's basically it for that project. Not quite, but basically it, which is fantastic because I love being able to do a Kickstarter and then complete a Kickstarter and not have to spend 18 or 24 months on it, which is the way I've done it in the past. So I'm going to be bringing another project online very soon. We're not going to be ready to do the world primer, but I think I found the core rulebook. We're not going to be able to do the world primer next because I'm not ready. It's going to take more time. But I've got other projects to run, and so I'm going to be working on those. Let's see, core rulebook. I'll let you know what's next. I've got some ideas. Already been working on them. Pathfinder core. But let's... I've got the core... Oh, okay. I got it. Trying to do 2 things at once here. And I'm also looking, one of the things I'm looking at is trying to get Terra tiles into print on demand. I've got all of that art files ready for, all of the Terra tiles art files. And it sure is a shame for them not to actually get done. I would hate that. We didn't have enough energy to do the traditional printing. And I mean, that's such a traditional manufacturing and having them shipped and freighted all the way from China and all of that. I didn't have enough people. But maybe I can find a way to do them on print on demand and then just do it that way, because I've got a variety of different art tiles. I got a whole bunch of different art files. I've got tiles with grids on them. I've got tiles without grids on them. People want them a variety of different ways. And if I can figure out a way to do them print on demand, then people can have whatever it is they want, whenever they want. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at as far as a new project goes. But okay, so we're looking at Pathfinder. I'm trying to look at this, try to understand this from the character design perspective. So I thought we would take a look at Pathfinder, the core rulebook. We did take a look briefly at the Game Mastery Guide, and we did go through the entire box set, pretty extensively, the Pathfinder box set, which we really liked, which we were very much in favor of. It had a lot of great stuff in it. It put the 5th edition basic set to shame. But I really haven't been into the main book yet. And I need to. So structural standpoint, when I was going through the basic box set, because it could just kind of lead you through things. One thing that I've been finding out as I've been going through this and trying to create some things is the importance of feats. So it seems like, what is your character? We're talking about categorizing RPGs into different families based on, well, it could be different criteria, but one of them is basically what makes a character. And this actually seems different from Dungeons and Dragons and 5e. So what makes your character it's superficially the same in the sense that you're going to have a race, or they call it an ancestry here, and a class. That's basically what makes a D&D character, and that particular family of games, OSR games and such as well. You have a ancestry and you have a class, and that's basically what your character is. And then 5th edition goes further with different options and powers that you get. But it seems like to me, this game is very feat dependent, that basically your character is a collection of feats. So your ancestries and your classes basically let you pick different feats, a bunch of different feats, and some of them are structured, so you have to make sure that you're getting your build right. And I remember there being something about being able to change out feats if you didn't like them, but it seems like mainly your character is going to be a collection of feats that you have. If anybody can confirm that, that would be great. But that seems like what's going on here. Equipment, spells. So this is the world. Playing the game. Read up on comprehensive rules for playing the game, using actions, and calculating your statistics. This includes rules on encounters, exploration, and downtime, as well as everything you need for combat, game mastering, crafting, and treasure. As well as lots and lots of conditions. So let's understand. I like that. Let's try to understand what characters are. This will be a little bit different as far as our structure goes, because we've already been through basically how to play, and it is largely D20 focused, although this does have the 3 action mechanic, the 3 action economy, which I liked. It seemed like I liked a lot when I was reading about it, and I was going, oh, is this something that needs to be ported over to some other game, like it's one that we're designing? But I'm not sure about that. Collection of feats sounds stinky. David says, I will say the core rule book is not great for actually learning the rules. For example, the feats chapter is not all the feats, only the ones that are common across all classes and ancestries. What is a man? A miserable little pile of feats. David says, ancestries have a few base abilities, and classes have a number of built-in abilities, but the customization comes from choosing feats. Well, right. I didn't mean to imply that it was all feats. So, yeah, ancestries with some abilities and then some options and then feats to choose from. And it seems like the same way with class. So maybe that Archives of Nethys then is really a complete archive of feats. So it does say feats here. Expand your capabilities by selecting general feats that improve your statistics or give you new actions. This chapter includes skill feats, which are tied directly to your skills. Let's go to page 32. Understanding actions. We do have these symbols. Here are the symbols. Single action, 2 action activity, 3 action activity. And you have to defend yourself. So 32. Oh, no, it's still 19. Okay, so ancestry entries. What do you get when you take an ancestry? Each entry includes details about the ancestry and presents the rules described below. All these but heritage and ancestry feats are listed in a sidebar. So hit points. This tells you how many hit points your character gains from their ancestry at first level. You'll add the hit points from your character's class to this number. So we did get more hit points at level 1, which I think this is an interesting idea. I guess goblins get less, half-orcs get more. But hit points are mainly determined by class, especially as you go up in level, it seems. But if you're low level, then your ancestry here has more of an influence. So I guess that makes sense. The smaller creatures will have fewer hit points, but they're still going to have more hit points than a Dungeons and Dragons first level character. And I think it may have been David was saying that keeps the characters from being one-shotted at level 1 because they're a little bit more robust. Okay, size, speed. The entry lists how far a member of the ancestry can move each time they spend an action such as strive to do so. Ability boosts. This lists the ability scores you apply ability boosts to when creating a character of this ancestry. Most ancestries provide boosts to 2 special ability scores, plus a free ability boost you can apply to another ability score of your choice. For more about ability, how are we generating statistics in this game? I kind of want to remember that. How to build your character. Example of play. Excuse me. Okay, so 6 ability scores. Each ability score starts at 10, representing the human average. But as you make character choices, you'll adjust these scores by applying ability boosts, which increase a score, and ability flaws, which decrease a score. As you build your character, remember to apply ability score adjustments when making the following decisions. Okay, so we all just start at 10. So we do have ability score modifiers. 10 and 11 is plus 0. 12 and 13 is plus 1. So you got to get to 14 to have a plus 2. So each ancestry provides ability boosts and sometimes an ability flaw. If you're taking any voluntary flaws, apply them in this step. Background. Your character's background provides 2 ability boosts. Class. Your character's class provides an ability boost to the ability score most important to your class, called your key ability score. So after these steps, you apply 4 more ability boosts of your choice. So this is not random. Okay, I didn't recall this. We did create a character, didn't we? Or maybe we didn't. I can't remember. I know we created a character in Starfinder, but maybe I didn't actually go through the process of creating a Pathfinder 2 characters. David Sims says, yep, with the plus 10, minus 10 crit rules, you'll need them. David Sims, note that the ancestry ability boosts have been errated so that all ancestries can just choose 2 free boosts like humans or their specific ones. I think I remember when that was being talked about. The orc is not out, by the way, right? I looked that up briefly before I came online just to see if the orc was out, the new license, but I didn't see it. I saw that where it was posted that the second draft for public comment had been released. Or release yet. So I do like this. So each ancestry, you get 2 boosts. So everybody starts at 10. A flaw, and so 2 ability boosts. Your background provides ability boosts. So, and your class provides boosts. And then you get 4 more boosts of your choice. So an ability boost normally increases an ability score value by 2. However, if the ability score to which you're applying an ability boost is already 18 or higher, its value only increases by 1. At first level, characters never have any ability score that's higher than 18. When your character receives an ability boost, the rules indicate whether it must be applied to a specific ability score or to 1 or 2 ability scores, or whether it's a free ability boost that's applied to any ability score of your choice. However, when you gain multiple boosts at the same time, you must apply each one to a different score. Dwarves, for example, receive an ability boost to their Constitution score and their Wisdom score, as well as 1 free ability boost, which can be applied to any score other than Constitution and Wisdom. Okay, that's important. But as David was just saying, tying any type of statistic to biology or is kind of going on the wayside, right? In RPGs. So anybody can pick any two, but in this case, dwarf wisdom, free one, but it cannot be, it comes at the same time. Not nearly as common in, if your character has an ability flaw, likely from their ancestry, you decrease that ability. That's so I like that your ancestry, your background in your class influence your ability scores are. So this is exactly the reverse of rolling randomly. Roll randomly and then determine whether or not you can play the paladin. In this case, if you're playing the paladin, I think it's called a champion in this. But if you're playing the paladin, it means that the fact that you're playing the paladin influence your ability scores. Extreme do the granular choice. Maybe that was it. Orc still isn't complete. Sable Phoenix. No more flaw and Zero the Blade says. Are we? Okay, so now we know. So ancestries are going to be dwarf, elf, gnome, goblin, halfling, human. Got some shades on here. Classes: alchemist, barbarian, bard, champion, cleric, druid, fighter, monk. I noticed there are a lot of classes in this book. I was noticing that the other day when I was trying to understand. So ability boosts and flaws. So human has no ability flaw. Halfling is supposed to have strength flaw. Goblin wisdom. Gnome strength. Elf constitution. Again, we're penalizing elves for constitution here. I would have it seems like that should always be strength. We've talked about that before. It's the elves with the constitution penalty in D&D was always weird to us. It should have been strength. Although, like Tolkien orcs, Tolkien elves, I never got the feeling that they were necessarily less strong, especially when you're talking about Feanor and all the Noldor. Dwarves have a ability flaw of charisma. But alchemist, this is interesting. I was starting to look at alchemist the other day. So David says, by default, there's no randomness, which enables the designers to I can definitely see that. You're designing with Faded Edge. That would not have random. It seems like that would be the case. Why randomize it? Because if you're, I mean, it would allow you to balance things better, I suppose. So we've got two different design philosophies. Of course, we've been looking at a lot of things that are just random, right? Generate some random characters, roll up your stats. That's what you got, and go and play. This does seem like it's going to take more time to create a character. In fact, at some point, we probably should actually go through then full character creation and see. It seemed like when I was going, oh, there are so many different feat kind of characteristics that it seems like it should take more time. Good morning, Neutromancer. Yeah, James says, no, Tolkien elves are the best at everything. Neutromancer says, yeah, you can't really translate Tolkien elves into an RPG unless you give them bonuses to everything, which is why demi-humans in basic had only better stuff and were penalized by level caps. Health flaw. Too immortal and impervious to worry about your trivial adventures. I was working on it. I was trying, and this seems like kind of Well, it would be a neat thing to return to, but kind of pointless because you can't really do anything with it. And I also lost this file, but I was going through and I was creating a Middle Earth world book for GURPS. And I was trying to be as accurate to Tolkien's books as possible. You can still find some of those old threads on the GURPS forum. And I did find an earlier version of that document, but I think I must have, like in a computer crash or something, lost a more advanced version of the document. But yeah, they were powerful. That barbarian. Oh, that well, that is a pretty crazy barbarian. She's the Barb NPC in the Kingmaker module. I don't know that one. Yeah, I kept talking about it. So this should be a popular one. So Alchemist. So I think that the classes are interesting here. So we've got a lot of them. Alchemist. Alchemist throws bombs, throws alchemical bombs and drinks concoctions of their own making. So we've talked a lot about how it's difficult to get alchemy to work. So I'm interested to see more about this Alchemist. But it doesn't look like it's really going to work in the way that I want it to, because yeah, for some reason, alchemists end up as grenadiers. And it's because it's difficult to get, I think, alchemy to work in largely combat-focused games. But we will see. So I'm probably not going to be a huge fan. I mean, it's probably cool, but for its own sake, but probably not what I'm... Yeah, this barbarian. This is a very different depiction for a barbarian right here. Actually, my favorite picture is the bard right here. I like this. I like this. That's very bard-like. Skilled performances and secrets of the occult enable the bard to distract foes and inspire allies. You know, one thing I noticed or was thinking about with regard to the OSR was how prior to having a bard, how the rogue was like that, like the thief or the rogue was very bard-like. So champion, a warrior dedicated to a deity, a champion uses divine power to protect their abilities, to enhance their abilities and to protect allies. I think that's like the paladin. Cleric, green-haired druid here. Fighter, monk, ranger, rogue, sorcerer, and wizard. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 classes. So alchemist is here. Warlock is not. We do have alchemist though. Barbarian, bard. That's the equivalent of the paladin. So I guess this is D&D classes with alchemist swapped in for warlock. All right, let's keep going. So we're looking at what builds an ancestry. David says, in my opinion, alchemist shouldn't have been a core class. It requires way too much system knowledge. You basically have to have a good understanding of all the alchemical items in the game, and there are loads. And the class can be unsatisfying because one of the most effective ways to play an alchemist is to basically be a vending machine to buff others rather than doing things yourself. Yeah, and that's another reason why something like alchemy can be hard to put into gameplay. I wonder if we're ever going to be able to do it because, right, I mean, the alchemist, it's not an adventuring, brewing your potions, which is what you want to do, is not really an adventuring activity. And then you do that, and then you give your stuff to other people. So it often seems like something that's done off screen. Steel Mongoose says, I'm considering a mad scientist class, alchemist, engineer, artificer. But that kind of class is hard to slot and balance. My understanding is the warlock wasn't OGL, but I could be wrong. Oh, really? That's interesting. Let me look that up. I thought Maybe I just haven't ever noticed that it's missing. Here, we see here's the SRD. Now this is different times, but here is the. I'm looking at the SRD that was just released under the Creative Commons license. Okay, Warlock is in here. Warlock is at least under this release. This the CC by 4 release. It is in there. Tomocrat says, yeah, alchemy is either a long downtime potion making or a grenadier. So PF2 wasn't based on 5th edition OGL, but 3.5 OGL. I was thinking Pathfinder 2 before the latest update was also. Yeah, I don't have the 3.5 edition SRD handy. But according to the 5th edition, if you're trying to use something 5th edition, Warlock is. TSL Frontman says, I could definitely see an alchemist as a specific type of spellcaster, the only type to burn spellcasting components. Spells cast related to the item's element. Pathfinder does it differently, I believe. Instead of warlocks, there are witches and summoners, kind of. Those aren't in the core rulebook, though. They could be in that. I've got that second, was there the second advanced game player's guide? No. Advanced player's guide. Yeah. David says, yeah, I was thinking about the 3.5 SRD, but Paizo has been on record that the Warlock was too D&D and was never going to do anything in that direction. Ah, okay. Okay, so ancestries get you hit points, tell you your size, so you get an ability boost that was increasing by 2. Ability flaw, this lists the ability score to which you apply an ability flaw when creating a character of this ancestry. Most ancestries, with the exception of humans, include an ability flaw. Languages, what they speak at first level. If your intelligence modifier is +1 or higher, you can select more languages from a list given here. More about languages can be found on page 65. Traits. These descriptors have no mechanical benefit, but they're important for determining how certain spells, effects, and other aspects of the game interact with your character. Special abilities. Any other entry in the sidebar representing abilities, senses, and other qualities all members of the ancestry manifest. Those are omitted for ancestries with no special rules. So we have the special. These are the special abilities here. We don't choose those, but here we have heritage. You select a heritage at first level to reflect abilities passed down to you from your ancestors or common among those of your ancestry in the environment where you were born or grew up in. You have only one heritage and can't change it later. A heritage is not the same as culture or ethnicity, though some cultures or ethnicities might have more or fewer members from a particular heritage. And then your feats. This section presents ancestry feats, which allow you to customize your character. You gain first ancestry feat at first level. So you gain your first ancestry feat at first level. You get another 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th, as indicated in the class advancement table in the description of each class. So there's a lot. You know, sometimes I was surprised at how little some of the races had in D&D. But there's a lot here. Witch has the patron flavor. Magus is Spellblade, but they intentionally don't do anything too similar. So, for example, dwarf. Oh, okay, so your names, example names. Dwarf heritage. Ancient blooded dwarf. Dwarven heroes of old could shrug off their enemies' magic, and some of that resistance manifests in you. You gain the call on ancient blood reaction. Your ancestors' innate resistance to magic surges before slowly ebbing down. You gain a +1 circumstance bonus until the end of this turn. Against saving throws against magic. Death Warden Dwarf. forged dwarf or foraged dwarf, rock dwarf, strong-blooded dwarfs. There's a lot of options. Which is my favorite Pathfinder 2 class. Very interesting, if even often suboptimal. So dwarf, hit points 10. Where does it say this thing about clan dagger? Ancestry feats. I see why this game is known for its customization. Because this is kind of the opposite of D&D or the old school stuff in this regard. Rather than let's roll up a character and then let's get playing. Hit points 10, size medium, ability boosts, ability flaws, languages, traits, dark vision. You can see in darkness and dim light just as well as you can see in bright light, though your vision in darkness is black and white. Clan dagger. One clan dagger, page 280 for free, as it was given to you at birth. Selling this clan dagger is a terrible taboo and earns you the disdain of other dwarves. And then they have ancestry feats like dwarven lore, dwarven weapon familiarity, rock runner, stone cutting, unburdened iron, vengeful hatred, boulder roll, dwarf weapon covering. So it takes a lot of space to write up one of these ancestries. 13th level, dwarven weapon expertise. Yeah, so with the remastered editions coming out, that's later this year. For those of you who are playing, how long does it take you to make a character? Okay, but anyway, so that looks like, here's the goblin. So didn't somebody say that Goblin was the best race in this game? Oh, no, I think that was an easy D6. Was saying the Goblin had the best stuff. Hit point 6. So everything you have to specify: hit points, size, speed, ability boost, ability flaw, languages, traits. Oh, so that's what it was talking about. Traits. These don't specifically influence anything, or they don't specifically have a direct effect, but tell you how other things influence you. So that's why traits, goblin and humanoid. I guess, something affects humanoid in some way, affects goblins in some way. I guess that's like the tag that tells you it applies to that character with dark vision. Charhide goblin, iron gut goblin, razor tooth goblin, snow goblin, unbreakable goblin. Unbreakable goblin. You're able to bounce back from injuries easily due to exceptionally thick skull, cartilaginous bones, or some other mixed blessing. You gain 10 hit points from your ancestry instead of 6. When you fall, reduce the falling damage you take as though you had fallen half the distance. David Sims says, according to the designers, book space is a huge factor in what gets in and what doesn't. There are tools like Pathfinder, like Path Builder, that make it reasonably quick. A first level character takes me 10 to 15 minutes. These days, using them, though quite a bit longer without the tools. Well, yeah, I was thinking without online tools. Zero the Blade says, building a Pathfinder 2 character can take a few minutes with just ancestry if you know what you like to be. Yeah, analysis paralysis might be a thing. Oh, what do you want your character to be? Oh, got lots of options. Don't want to take the wrong one. That would be an advantage of rolling up and getting ready to play. Fewer options means it's faster. Human heritages. Unlike other ancestries, humans don't have significant physiological differences defined by their lineage. Instead, their heritages often either reveal their potential as a people or reflect lineages from multiple ancestries. Choose one of the following human heritages at level 1. Half-elf. Either of your... So the half-elf isn't a dedicated, not race, but ancestry. So it's a heritage within human. Either one of your parents was an elf or one or both were half-elves. You have pointy ears and other telltale signs of elf heritage. You gain the elf trait, the half-elf trait, and low light vision. In addition, you can select elf, half-elf, and human feats whenever you gain an ancestry feat. Half-orc. One of your parents was an orc, or one or both were half-orcs. You have a green tinge to your skin and other indicators of orc heritage. You gain the orc trait, the half-orc trait, and low light vision. In addition, you can select orc, half-orc, and human feats whenever you gain an ancestry feat. Skilled. Your ingenuity allows you to train in a wide variety of skills. You become trained in one skill of your choice. At 5th level, you become an expert in the chosen skill. Or versatile heritage. Humanity's versatility and ambition have fueled its ascendants to be the most common ancestry in most nations throughout the world. Select a general feat of your choice for which you meet the prerequisites, as well as your ancestry feat. You can select this general feat at any point during character creation. I was taking a look at human ancestry feats the other day. That must be our half-orc right here. Oh, half-elf and half-orc ancestry feats. Backgrounds allow you to customize your character based on their life before adventuring. I wonder how they do these. Neutromancer says, I'd say it takes longer to read and decide than actually calculating your stuff. So it should get faster the more familiar you are with the ancestries. TSL Frontman says, rolling tables can help with that, of course. The paralysis, yeah. David says, yeah, analysis paralysis is the biggest hurdle, especially with all the supplements. AD&D expanded like that. E. Armstrong. Hey, E. Armstrong, welcome. We'll be switching to Pathfinder 2 next campaign. Already have players pre-making characters while looking through the options. Min-maxing, Stray says, is an issue in this game. Especially if nothing's random, right? I mean, you can't... It's probably even... It's likely, even as well-balanced as it seems to be, that there probably will still end up being things that are better or worse than others. Oh, well, David is disagreeing here a little bit. Less in Pathfinder 2 than you might think. The effective min-maxing is in team synergy and gameplay. Non-min-maxed characters that work well as a team will destroy min-maxed characters who aren't. Okay, so for instance, if you're going to be the acolyte, you spent your early days in a religious monastery or cloister. You may have traveled out in the world to spread the message of your religion or because you cast away the teachings of your faith. But deep down, you'll always carry within you the lessons you learned. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be to intelligence or wisdom. The other is a free ability boost. So everybody's getting 2 ability boosts because of their background. You've trained in the religion skill and the scribing lore skill. You gain the student of the canon skill feat. So this is how you get skills as well. Barkeep. You have 5 specialties: hefting barrels, drinking, polishing steins, drinking, and drinking. You worked in a bar where you learned how to hold your liquor and rowdily socialize. Choose 2 ability boosts. One must be to Constitution or Charisma. The other one is a free ability boost. There is an alcohol lore skill, and you get the Hobnobber skill feat. Oh, lots of backgrounds. Oh, lots to choose from. Criminal, entertainer, herbalist, field medic, which is D&D has, I think, has always been rather light on them. And it seems like some backgrounds you're like supposed to take if you're a certain class, which is what I had a problem with. I think it's best if you're able to mix and match your background with your classes. Sailor, scholar, noble. Scout, Tinker, Warrior. That is quite a few. I don't know how many that was, but that's a lot. Sable Phoenix says min-maxing is difficult in Pathfinder 2 compared to something like 5e because the math is so tight. Backgrounds are the easiest thing to homebrew. I wonder, as far as Rabavania goes, because I'm running out of room and space in that world primer in a huge way. All of these are probably relevant. And saying choose a background from the core book looks fine to me. Let's see. All right, character classes. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, E. Armstrong says lore can be anything. Anything you specialize in can be a lore skill. There are common ones, but you can get to be creative. Ah. Zero the Blade says, if there are any Pathfinder 2 games in my area, I have a Catfolk Archaeologist Investigator or Kitsune Entertainer Sorcerer ready since they were my dream characters with D&D 5e. Skill actions, right. Yeah, so we were talking about that, especially skill actions, but also like lore. It seemed like we talked about how I was personally against rolling like knowledge checks, but that knowledge checks have been integrated into this game. So they actually have combat relevance. Okay, so a class, what makes up a class? A key ability. This is the ability score that a member of your class cares the most about. Many of your most useful and powerful abilities are tied to this ability in some way. When you choose a character's class, they gain an ability boost in their key ability score, increasing that ability by 2. Hit points. The section tells you how many hit points. Even hit points aren't randomized then, right? To determine your character's starting hit points, add together the hit points they got when they chose the ancestry and the amount listed in this entry, which equals your Constitution modifier plus a fixed number. So plus Constitution. Initial proficiencies. When you choose your character's class, they gain a set of initial proficiencies. Proficiencies measure the character's ability to perform checks, use abilities, and succeed at checks. Proficiency ranks range from trained to legendary. For instance, a character who is trained with a longbow can use it effectively, while a person who is legendary with the weapon might be able to split an arrow from 100 paces away. I like having the different ranks and proficiency. Seems like several different games are going in that direction. I was going in that direction. Mark was going in that direction for a cool name. An advancement table that summarizes stuff. Class features. All class features, include the class features detailed below, with each class also getting special class features. Class feat. This is class, so class feat. This section specifies the level at which your character gains new class feats, special feats that only members of your class can access. Class feats are granted starting at first or second level, depending on the class. Specific class feats are detailed at the end of each class entry. Skill feats. This section specifies the levels at which your character gains feats with this skill trait called skill feats. General feats. See, lots of different kinds of feats. Neutromancer says, I dislike randomized ability scores and hit points anyway. Even in 5e, I prefer to use the preset ones. David says, I had a character in Pathfinder 1e who was level 8 and had about 25 hit points because I always rolled low and had no con mod. which can be rough in games where you're expecting to have a lot more than that. That we've said too. We've been talking about eliminating. So this one goes then in the reducing randomization, right? Reducing that random element. Because yes, just because you rolled low this time does not mean you're going to roll high next time. Hey, PH. So I think that some feats, I believe Jadavan. I was trying to remember. We had the discussion about the name pronunciation, but it was Jadavan, right? I think some feats like silent casting should be skill actions with a penalty. It's all in profession. Neutromancer says people are like, it can be fun to play a sucky character, but that has never been the case in practice. Or when yours is the only sucky one, right? Now that doesn't necessarily mean not flawed. Maybe playing the flaws can be fun, but if you're objectively worse than everybody else. General feats, especially if you don't get to play that often and you've got a terrible character. Skill increases. This tells you when you can increase proficiency ranks in a skill. Ability boosts at level 5, and every 5 levels thereafter, a character boosts 4 different ability scores. Wow, 4? At 5th level and every 5 levels thereafter, your character boosts 4 different ability scores. Wow. Your character can use these ability boosts to increase their ability scores above 18. Boosting an ability score increases it by 1 if it's already 18 or above, by 2 if it starts out below 18. For more about ability boosts and applying them during character creation, go to page 20. I guess it's 2. It's 2 because all of the modifiers and adjustments go up by 2, like change up every 2. That's a problem with Dungeons and Dragons because I forget whether it's the odd or the even numbers they go up on. But if you just get +1 to an ability score, that might not actually materially help you that round. So I guess this is its way of making sure that these materially help you. So you're going to get high abilities. You're going to get pretty high scores if you go up in level. Well, it can be a blaze of glory. Sable Phoenix says games where every character is sucky can be hilarious and tons of fun. Just depends on what the group wants and how hard they lean into it. So it can be hilarious and tons of fun and end up in a swift TPK. HP bloat is menace. Maybe size HP plus class HP. Ability boosts in Pathfinder 2 is silly. It seems like a lot. I mean, to be boosting 4, but I don't know how it plays out. Ancestry feats as well. This section serves as a reminder of the ancestry feats your characters gain at 5th, 9th, 13th, and 17th. Okay, so here is the Alchemist. So it says key ability intelligence. At first level, your class gives you an ability boost to intelligence. Hit points are 8 plus your constitution modifier. You increase your maximum number of HP by this number at first level and every level thereafter. During combat encounters, you lob bombs at your foes. So you're the grenadier. Harry your enemies and support the rest of your party with potent elixirs. At higher levels, your mutagens warp your body into a resistant and powerful weapon. A very high fantasy kind of active alchemist. During social encounters, you provide knowledge and experience about alchemical items and related secrets, such as poisons and diseases. While exploring, keep an eye out for trouble with your bombs at the ready, while giving advice on other things alchemical and mysterious. So it tells us at first level, you gain the listed proficiency ranks and the following statistics. You are untrained in anything not listed unless you gain a better proficiency rank in some other way. trained in perception, expert in fortitude, expert in reflex, trained in will. Trained in crafting, trained in a number of additional skills equal to 3 plus your intelligence modifier. Trained in simple weapons, alchemical bombs, and unarmed attacks. Trained in light, medium, and unarmored. Trained in alchemist class DC. I don't know what that means. I was trying to figure that out the other day. Does that mean like trained in the DC? That's if somebody's rolling against you or has to save against you? It always rubbed me, especially as an early D&D player, how it's only every +2 that makes a difference. It seems like padding or a lazy mechanic. Neutromaster says, though, in Pathfinder 2, you need big bonuses. It's on 5, 10, 15, 20 levels. It's silly. It's like Saiyan Transform. I don't know what that is. Everything gets higher and higher, DCs, ACs, etc. So PH says, the problem with Pathfinder 2 is that you have multiple possibilities but end up choosing the same options because they're the most optimized for your character. That's why I was talking about that earlier. There's like, well, there can be lots of options, but eventually people are going to find out what's best. That seems inevitable, even if it's really well designed, which it seems like it is. But I was saying the possibility still exists that they're just things that are better. Pathfinder 2 embraced the 3.5 philosophy of the numbers arm raced. Oh, so Neutromaster says you often have to roll versus an AC of 40. Means you probably have like a +30 to hit. Okay, all right. If that's the case, especially at higher levels, that's a situation if you got a +30 to hit where you're really starting to make your skill bonuses matter as opposed to the D20. David says, because of the level to proficiency system, the individual boosts like the ability boosts are where the differentiation is. If you don't have that, everything would be homogeneous. Okay. So that's an important part of character differentiation as we're leveling up, and because we're trying to compete with very high ACs or difficulty classes in general. Initial proficiencies, alchemy. So we've got infused reagents. You infuse reagents with your own alchemical essence, allowing you to create alchemical items at no cost. Advanced alchemy. During your daily preparations, after producing new infused reagents, you can spend batches of those infused reagents to create infused alchemical items. Quick alchemy. If you need a specific alchemical item on the fly, you can use your infused reagents to quickly create it with the quick alchemy action. Cost 1 batch of infused reagents. You swiftly mix up a short-lived alchemical item to use at a moment's notice. You have a formula book. So research field. Okay, so bomber. Chirurgeon. Mutagenist. So sample alchemist right here. PH says, but in the case of Pathfinder 2, the best options are very obvious. If you're an archer, you choose these three options. If you're a melee fighter, you choose the other one. Pathfinder 2 wants to make it so the more experience you get, the less the randomness of a D20 impacts your ability to succeed or not. It becomes largely a way to determine critical success or failure. See, I was thinking about that. I don't remember if we talked about that specifically on the show or if I was just thinking about it later. It seems like some games also think, whether it's a D20 being rolled or something else, that lower level characters should be more random. That you equate being lower level with more randomness and higher level with less randomness, which isn't necessarily the way, because I'm for the reduction in randomness across the board. It's just do as you're leveling up. So yeah, but a lot of, or seem to be built on a system where low level or low powered. David says, and for optimized choices in a white ROM, yes, there are optimal choices, but in a team-based game, the optimal choices very often aren't. Neutromaster says 3.5 was like that. Fighters 20 to hit bonuses, and you were expected to keep improving your to +5 each. So +30 at level 20 was normal. I never played to 20th level. Non-warrior or half-warrior classes ended up being with only +10 or +15 base attack bonuses. I never played that high. So, but I can see that also being a problem. Well, I'll have to see how they thought about that in Pathfinder too. But yeah, if you're talking about if you've got to compete with ACs of 40 and you're engineering a warrior to be able to do that, other classes might just not be able to do it. Neutromancer says, my problem with lowering all the randomness is that you'll end up with an AC that a player A can always hit and that player B. Seeing that, let me make sure I'm not syncing something. I'm seeing that my signal strength isn't all that high at the moment. Doesn't look like there's anything I can do on my end, but I do see that. We'll just see if it gets better. PH says, I like 3.5 driven and got chaotic, very much miniatures driven and got chaotic. You have them do whatever character you like, worked all together. David says, and I don't think it does try to reduce the randomness. I think the aim is actually to make the chances as much the same at levels 1 and 20 against the same relative enemy strength. So, okay, Sable Phoenix says, yeah, that's probably a better way to state it. Make the chances of success much the same at levels, the same relative enemy strength. And arguably, if you're making the math very tight, and of course there was a lot of material about encounter design, especially even in that basic box. We looked at design, so that could be what it's trying to do, and probably is. I remember there being a lot of tables about, okay, you've got this level, this number of party members, they're at certain level, so you need this variety of foes to have an easy encounter or a medium encounter. So, for instance, to be a Churgeon, you use healing and protecting others across the land. Prioritize intelligence and wisdom. Constitution gives you survivability and attacks when violence is necessary. Skills, crafting, diplomacy, medicine, religion, society, and survival. Starting feat, alchemical savant. Higher level feats, poison resistance at 2nd level, efficient alchemy at 4th, combined elixirs at 6th, the merciful elixir at 10th, greater merciful elixir 14th, miracle worker 18, craft philosopher's stone, of course, at 20th level. So these classes also take up a lot of space for in a book as far as the write-up goes, because there's a lot to them. Here's another sample. And a mutagenist. You transform yourself and others with mutagens. What is this guy down here? There's our that's quite a look there this barbarian's got. 4E was even more in your face with the zero sum game. They flat out told you that enemies have 20 more AC, but you all have plus 20 to hit when facing them. Then it was 21 versus 21, 22 versus 22 ad nauseum. E. Armstrong says, the one thing that can get scary in Pathfinder 2 was trying to face a single monster. The encounter building rules can make it more likely for the bad guy to hit and crit to balance the scales. Okay, well, we're not going to go through all of these because I'm still trying to get a feel of like what a character is. That's pretty cool. Let's look at one that we kind of know. Excuse me. So here is a druid. Let's look at the druids. The 310 druid advancement. At level 1, ancestry and background, initial proficiencies, primal spell casting, anathema, druidic language, druidic order, shield block, wild empathy. 2, druidic feat, skill feat. 3, second level spells, alertness, general feat, fortitude, skill increase. Oh, I always thought that anathema was something that you could do, but as stewards of the natural order, druids find affronts to nature anathema. If you perform enough acts that are anathema to nature, you lose your magical abilities that come from the druidic class, including your primal spellcasting and the benefits of your order. These abilities can be regained only if you demonstrate a repentance by conducting an atone ritual. That's a crazy looking druid. Okay, what comes next? Skills. The fighter, the duelist. The archer. So there is a lot of customization within class. So that's why it was telling me like, so I've got to figure that out for Pathfinder. So for the knight, do you make that a certain build within the fighter class? For the druid, what's the best way to represent a Rabavanian druid? And the damsel, is that a new class? If it's a new class, there's a lot of stuff to making up a new class. Or do you try to make the damsel and the witch fit within existing classes and talk about, okay, these are the certain builds that you would take. Take these feats, not those feats, and here are a couple of special feats that represent some other ability. I gotta figure that out. Animal Ranger. All right, I'm gonna go over here and see what's going on in the comments. Wrap up here soon. PH says, my group played even epic above 30th level, etc. Our parties were often made of monstrosities, half in prestige classes with a beholder head. David says, definitely, regarding E. Armstrong. especially at low levels, talking about fighting one creature. I haven't played that high yet, but I've heard that high levels is the other way around. One strong enemy is easier than a lot of weaker ones. The Pathfinder 2e fighters that they crit more than they miss thanks to the bonus they receive. David says I'd recommend archetypes for Rabavania personally, and I got to look into those too. I saw some Pathfinder class tier lists, and fighter seems to be consistently at the top. That's a pretty crazy looking sorcerer too. It might be easier, to use the archetypes and try to come up with builds within the existing classes, since there's so much here. And rather than trying to figure out how to add something onto the system that already has so much. I wonder if I have to look more at the druid in Rabavania is the difficult one. So I wonder if it's going to be more like the druid in Pathfinder or if it's more like the wizard. I tried to use stuff for the wizard in D&D, but it didn't exactly work. That is also a cool picture. That's a lot. Sable Phoenix says, I'm not a fan of Pathfinder's monster art for some reason, but their character art is super cool. I'm just looking at the comments. All right. Well, I am going to try to get some stuff done. I've got to do writing. I've got more writing to be done. And I'll see if I'll wrap up anything's going on with the Kickstarter. I'll also see what's going on with this submarine. Anybody been following this submarine or submersible vehicle that is lost around the Titanic? I was reading that before I was coming on the stream. We'll see if anything is any about that. So I will see everybody later. Go be creative, be productive, and grind on. See you later.